What's going on, guys? Dawkbro back again. Hope you are fantastic today and welcome back to a Fazbear Frights story. And today's story is The Real Jake from Blackbird. This is the second story out of the three. The next one is Hide and Seek, but this one is The Real Jake, okay? So, Jake, you've heard that name before if you've watched the book reviews or you've read the books yourselves, okay? Jake is the entity, one of the spirits that is attached to the Stitch Wraith, okay? The Stitch Wraith, the one going around, collecting parts with the other spirit, Andrew. And Andrew's the nasty one who's got revenge. Andrew's the one who killed the man in room 1280. The angry spirit who made, Fetch, the other animatronics and the other FNAF items, all angry and possessed with agony, causing chaos around the Fazbear universe, okay? So Jake is the one... Jake's the nice one who can see in Stitch Wraith, the one who can look around and see. Andrew is the angry one, who's like deep within the endoskeleton of Stitch Wraith, who can kill people and, do all the bad stuff. We think Andrew got killed by William Afton, which is why he was attached to him in the hospital room, trying to keep him alive with pain as much as possible. And then when the man wanted to go to the FNAF sorting warehouse place, he left the body, made William Afton rot and fall into like a massive black pit on the floor, and he escaped and started possessing and causing chaos with the animatronics and other items in the warehouse bit. So, yeah, we know why Andrew's angry, and he's got a valid reason. Now, we've always wondered why Jake isn't that angry. Why Jake's the calm one in the Stitch Wraith. And this story explains the origins of Jake, and it is very sad. And I'm going to tell you now, spoilers ahead, by the way, now, even though you watch it anyway. I don't know why I say that, but yeah. The Jake story has no FNAF in it. No FNAF is in this story at all. No mention of FNAF. No mention of the pizzeria. No mention of an animatronic. No mention of anything FNAF related. There's nothing in this FNAF related. No scariness to this story at all, guys, okay? At first, I was a little bit creeped out by something, and I'll say why in a minute and what I originally thought the story was about, and I was completely wrong. There's kind of a twist at the end, which is strange. But yeah, let's get straight into it, guys. So Jake is now 9 years old, and the house and the Jake's bedroom is filled with hopes and regrets. Okay, and Jake is very sick, guys. Jake has cancer in this story. Been sick for a few years with cancer. Really sad. He's really ill at the moment. And his mom's died. And his dad is in the army and away at sea. So already this story is horrible and really sad, okay? And Jake's carer is somebody called Margie. Okay? Margie. And if you recognise Margie, I'm going to say Margie. Margie is the character from the Stitch Wraith story. I think it was book 2. And Detective Larson goes to Margie's house, right? And she's there alone with her cats. And Detective Larson goes into the bedroom, and inside this cabinet, there's a bunch of drawings and stuff. Detective Larson shows her a picture of Stitch Wraith, and she recognises it straight away. So remember that, okay? It's the same character, the same house, and the same cabinet. So yeah, Jake is very sick with cancer. Jake's mom died 4 years ago. Jake is bedridden, so he can't get out of bed at all now. He's really, really sick. And they talk about this character called Simon. And Simon lives in the cabinet in his bedroom, okay? Jake talks to Simon every night, okay? And it gets more interesting later on what they talk about, okay? So Jake's on a new round of chemo. He's got a brain tumor, and it's getting, it's getting worse and worse, and can only do so much. The doctors have said this is like the last round of chemo we can do with Jake, because nothing's working, and it's going to make him really bad if we keep going with this chemo. Simon only visits Jake when he's alone and the lights are off. Okay, so in Jake's room, there's a little cabinet in the room far away. And I thought it was really creepy at first. I thought, like, this is FNAF related. Maybe it's like a spirit who used to live in the house. Maybe there's an animatronic in there that was left there, or a doll, something like that. But it gets interesting. Simon says and makes it clear that he's going to stay in the cabinet forever until Jake has enough strength and gets better to get out of bed and open the cabinet to get Simon. So now I thought, oh God, Jake's going to get out and then Simon's going to kill him or something, to check if Simon's real or not. This is where the real Jake comes in, okay? So Simon constantly asks Jake what he did today. And Jake goes, oh, I've just stayed in bed all day. I'm sad. But Simon goes, no. What did the real Jake do today? And then Jake goes, oh, I went to the cinemas and I had popcorn and I watched a really nice movie. And then Simon says, me too. I had some popcorn. Did you like the popcorn, Jake? Oh, it tastes so sweet. I love the popcorn so much. Jake is imagining himself being outside of the bedroom, going out on adventures, going to the cinemas, eating pizza, playing out with friends, stuff like that. And Simon is encouraging it. So Simon's going, oh, me too. I had ice cream. Did you have fun today? Da 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 da. So Simon just wants Jake to think about the happy thoughts, imagining that he's been outside and stuff. And it's so strange, right? Because at first I thought Simon was a doll pretending to be, wanting to be Jake and wanting to imagine that he was a real person as well. But you'll understand it in a minute when I explain what the situation is. So the next night, more stories again. Jake and Simon going to the movies, playing around with friends and stuff, eating pizza. And then Simon's like, I did that today too. Oh, me too. I did the same. I went to the arcade too, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, this is sus. This is really weird. And every night again, Simon is saying, when you get enough strength, Jake, remember, you can get out of bed and open the cabinet and find me. You can do this, okay? There is a lot of nice filler in this, guys. I'm not going to talk about it a lot, but there is some really nice filler in this, and it's quite sad. So at one point, there's some backstory about Margie being very upset about everything. She's been looking after Jake for like 3 years. She's got to know the dad. Evan is the dad. He was in the army. Got to know the whole family. So she feels like she's part of the family now, and it does get very sad. Another one is Brandon, Jake's best friend, comes to the window and says, come outside, we're going to the arcade, let's go. And Jake really tries because, he's really sick, and Brandon doesn't understand what's happening with Jake, with this illness. And Jake goes outside and he collapses and he throws up all over the floor and stuff. And, it just shows how sick Jake is. He's really bad at this point. He can't even get out of bed. He just throws up and collapses. When Margie finds Jake, she's like, why have you come outside for? What are you doing? And Jake says, I thought I could be the real Jake. So it's sad. It is sad. So on the night of that, what happened, Jake talks with Simon again, pretending that he did manage to get to the arcade and play with Brandon and everything. But this time we get the origins of what Simon is. Okay, so here you go. This is the twist, and I wasn't expecting it. So Margie is listening to them talking casually. So I thought, oh God, Margie can hear Simon. That's it. Margie's going to be really freaked out because there's some weird thing in the cabinet in his room talking to him. But we find out, guys, that it was their plan all along. So Evan the dad, tells Margie that they needed some magic to keep Jake going, to keep him happy, to keep him imagining that he's, doing all this stuff. And that's how Simon was born. Okay? Simon was actually Evan's voice inside the cabinet. Okay? And he used a voice distorter to make him more high pitched. So there was a walkie-talkie inside the cabinet. Okay? And it's his dad. And Evan is directly talking and listening to Jake live. Okay? While Margie's on the phone to him. So Margie's on the phone outside the room with Evan. And Evan is communicating with Jake through the speaker. Okay? Really, really wholesome, actually. And I've written down, I wasn't expecting that. So Evan just wanted Jake to feel happy instead of thinking about how he was sick, the real Jake. Jake's dad wanted him to feel more happy with life and imagine the things that he was doing. And Jake even says sometimes it felt real that he went to the arcade and that he tasted popcorn. So really wholesome stuff, guys, and sad at the same time. So yeah, Evan did call Margie every single night while he was in the army out at sea. Evan always called Margie to pretend to be Simon to Jake, to keep Jake positive and have a goal. Jake's got a goal to get better and then find Simon in the cabinet, right? So, trying to get him motivated in a really rough time. We'll learn about Simon more in a minute because it's not just a walkie-talkie, guys, okay? We get a little bit of backstory with Evan and Margie and Jake. And Evan has a brother called Michael, which I thought was weird. And a lot of people are talking about it. And Michael is Evan's only living family. So, yeah, another interesting one. Michael is very money orientated. And it even says that Michael doesn't seem human sometimes. So he's very robotic in how he speaks and how he acts. So yeah, might be a reference to Michael Afton, like a little reference to Michael from the games. So Simon was a doll. Simon was a 3-foot doll, 3 foot high. And anytime Jake and Simon talk about an adventure, Margie draws and sketches on the doll of what's happened. So let's say, Jake and Simon talk about eating pizza and getting all the sauce around the mouth. So Margie gets some red paint, red markers, and puts red markings around Simon's mouth. Simon and Jake talk about running around in the sprinklers and scraping the knees. So Margie puts a scrape on the doll's knee. Or they're eating popcorn, they've got butter, so she sketches butter on the doll's shirt and stuff. When they go to the arcade, Margie puts arcade tickets in the doll's pockets. So, yeah, basically a really nice surprise for Jake. So when Jake opens the cabinet, he will see this doll with all the adventures they've talked about when he finally opens the cabinet. How nice is that, and how thoughtful that is, and hopeful for Jake to get better and have this surprise in the cabinet. Unfortunately, guys, Jake gets worse. So Jake's vision and headaches were getting worse, and they've stopped treatment. They've stopped treatment on Jake. There's no more treatments he could have, and they're not working. So, yeah, it's getting very bad now and inevitable what's going to happen with Jake. And again, Margie gets upset. Very close with Evan and Jake. Very, very close with them now. And, it's sad. And unfortunately, guys, I'm not making this up. It gets worse. Michael calls Margie out of nowhere and Evan dies. Evan has died in the army at sea. So yeah, Jake's dad has died. Like you can't even this. This is really sad. And Evan gives the house to Margie, which is why she's there in the Stitch Rave story, and is now Jake's guardian. Okay, so because both parents have died, Margie is now Jake's guardian. So Margie's now really worried. What are they going to tell Jake? Jake's already really, really sick, and his treatment stopped, and he's just going to get worse. How are they going to tell Jake that his father's just died? Really, really sad, and you can understand Margie's situation here. Now, the weird thing is, again, that when Michael tells Margie, Evan's brother, tells Margie about the situation, he doesn't know how to connect with people, no emotion. So he doesn't get upset when he tells Margie. He says it very robotically. He says like, oh, hold on, let me try and find it. I have been notified that Evan's dead. Apparently, an IED hit the vehicle he was in. I've got Evan's will here. He named you Jake's guardian and he left you the house and some savings. I'll follow the proper procedures and file what must be filed, and I'll bring you papers to sign when they're ready. So, you know, very emotionless, which is strange, but apparently that's what Michael's like. So again, is that a connection to Michael? I don't know. And about Simon as well, because now Evan's dead, Simon's dead. Jake and Simon can't interact with each other anymore. So what's Margie going to do? So Margie tells Jake that Simon's not going to visit tonight. And Jake, you know, wonders why and stuff. And Margie can't say why. She doesn't want to say anything yet and just says, no, he's just not going to be here tonight, unfortunately. So yeah, it's sad. And it is confirmed as well that Margie was in love with Evan as well. She did like Evan in that kind of way, which again makes it even worse and heartbreaking. This is where things start to get a bit more spiritual and spooky. So Margie falls asleep and she's left the monitor in the basement accidentally. And she starts hearing noises around the house, whispers around the house, voices. So this is when things get like a bit more like, hold on, what's going on here? What are these voices? So there's voices and noises around the house going on. And she goes down to Jake's room, and then the voices stop. And when Margie's going down to Jake's room, the voices are louder and louder. She can't make out what these voices are saying or anything. But as soon as she gets to Jake's door, they stop. So I do think it's definitely connected with Jake and spirits or something like that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that, because it's not talked about after that. But maybe it's the house, maybe there's other spirits in the house or something. Because I want to talk about the cabinet for a second, guys, okay? So the cabinet was not owned by that family. The cabinet was there before they moved in. Okay? It's like an old house, and the cabinet was already there. So was the cabinet owned by somebody FNAF related? We don't know. But the cabinet was already there. So you'll understand why it's a little bit spiritual in a minute with the ending. But yeah, the cabinet was already there at that house. So yeah, Jake is really bad now, guys. Jake is really, really bad. Very, very sick. And says that he doesn't want to pretend anymore. He doesn't want to pretend today. He doesn't want to be the real Jake. He's that ill. He doesn't want to imagine that he's the real Jake anymore. So Margie decides to call the hospital and arrange for Jake to be taken to the hospice centre where he can get the proper care and treatment in a hospital now, because it's got that bad that Margie can't look after him anymore in the house. And obviously, there's a lot of emotions going through Margie at this point. Guilt, anger. That this is happening to such a nice kid. Off topic, guys. It just goes to show that cancer can affect anybody in life, and I'm sure every single one of us has had a family member who's been affected by cancer at some point. I have, and it really, really sucks. I really hope that we get to find cures in the future, in our lifetime, for the people that we love. It is sad. But yeah, we just got to figure out some charity streams in the future, guys, for cancer research. Definitely. Um, we've done some charity streams for St. Jude. And that's for children with cancer and illnesses, and they do research themselves too about cancer. So let's talk about the ending, guys. This is the ending now. Margie opened Jake's door. The second that Margie stepped into the room, she knew. She felt it. The room was too still, too empty. Even though Jake's poor, depleted body lay in the bed, Jake was gone. Because Margie turned into a statue in the doorway, Gillian had to practically lift Margie and move her aside to allow the EMTs and Nancy to enter the room. Gillian didn't say anything, but that's her neighbour, by the way. Margie was pretty sure Gillian knew Jake was gone too. Nancy, I think that's one of the nurses, must have sensed it as well, because she frowned. Then she strode to the bed and felt Jake's pulse. She looked up at the EMTs and gave them a slight head shake. They stopped wheeling the stretcher and they both stared at the floor. Nancy looked up at Margie. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He's passed on." Margie nodded. For once, her eyes were dry. What she was feeling was too much of ordinary tears. What she was feeling called for a screaming fit or a total mental breakdown. Since now wasn't the time for either of those, she had no response to offer. She was a human void. She wanted to fold into herself and fall into that void. She wanted to let it suck her from this room, from this reality, but she knew she couldn't escape so easily. So Margie forced her legs to work and she crossed to Jake's bed. His body looked so small and fragile. She leaned over him and pressed her lips to his forehead. "I love you, Jake. I love you so much." Gillian came up behind Margie and whispered, "Goodbye, Jake." The three medical professionals wouldn't have had a reason to see anything amiss. For all they knew, it was normal. Even Gillian would not have commented on it. She might have seen it, but she wouldn't attach any meaning to it. Margie, though? Margie would have, but she didn't see. Nobody saw. 5 people, 5 sets of eyes, and none of them noticed the little cabinet door was wide open. And there you go, guys. So the cabinet door was open. Very, very sad. But we know now with the Stitch Wraith story that Jake's spirit is still alive in the Stitch Wraith. Okay? And this is what's happened, guys. Okay? So Jake's spirit has attached itself to the doll, Simon the doll. And Simon the doll has left the house and gone somewhere by the looks of things. So, yeah, Jake's spirit possessed the doll. And the doll's left the house and gone somewhere. The real Jake. Jake's spirit, the real Jake, attached itself to the doll. And, with agony, by the set, like with everything, with the possession of dolls and stuff is with agony. Now, how funny and ironic is when everybody's talking about the Stitch Wraith. They're like, "Oh, yeah, the Stitch Wraith has blood around his mouth." But in reality, guys, it's actually pizza sauce and drawings on his face from Margie. Weird, right? How something so sinister at first is so, the face had a meaning to it and so loving and it was made with care and thought about a sick kid, you know. So yeah, the what happens with Jake is that the doll must have been found by the scientist, and you know the face is removed and put onto the Stitch Wraith, and that's how Jake is then, you know, with the scientist. Remember the scientist story? Phineas, he takes the doll's head and puts it onto Stitch Wraith and uses the electricity and power, the power of agony, to make the Stitch Wraith endoskeleton. And that's how Jake and Andrew are attached to the Stitch Wraith. So this was basically Jake's origin story. Okay? And we know Detective Larson goes to Margie's house and says, do you recognise his face? And Margie recognises it straight away because that's Simon's face. That's the doll's face on Stitch Wraith. Okay? So yeah, there you go. That's the origin of Jake. And yeah, so we don't know if the cabinet was haunted, but you know, Jake definitely possessed the doll and left the room. Whether that was just with Jake's strength, with the agony and his spirit, or whether the cabinet did have something to do with it, we don't know. Okay, whether that old cabinet was haunted or had an origin or anything, we don't know yet. But we do know Jake's origin story. He had so much agony in his life. You know, his parents both died. He didn't know that his dad died, though. He wasn't told, by the way. Margie didn't tell Jake that Evan had died. And when Jake's inside the endoskeleton, he does think about Evan having a baseball game. Remember that? And how Jake almost left the body. I think that's when, you know, Evan's trying to call Jake out to come to heaven with him. I think that point, guys, if you remember, you have to do some backtracking. When Jake, you know, sees Evan at the baseball game and he's almost drawn out of the endoskeleton. That's when Evan is trying to reach out to Jake to come to heaven and to, you know, leave the body and just be at peace with Evan and the family. That's why it felt so real to Jake, because that was Evan reaching out to him and, you know, almost going to heaven. But, you know, Jake still has a purpose to fix what Andrew has done, the angry spirit. So, yeah, really, really interesting. And I like the story. But, yeah, what were the voices in the house? What were the voices in the house before Jake died? We don't know. But yeah, there's something else to that, guys. There's definitely something else. Whether it's just the house is haunted or the cabinet's haunted, I don't know. But that was the real Jake, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Very, very sad. But yeah, it's nice to know Jake's origin story. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Leave a like. The next story is Hide and Seek and the Stitch Wraith story as well, which we do both. So yeah. Hide and Seek, and then the Stitch Wraith part at the end. More about Jake and Andrew, which I'm looking forward to. Take care. Thank you so much for watching. Lots of love, and I'll see you all next time.